Welcome back to another board game tier list, everybody. Today we are doing the War of the Ring shadow characters slash minions slash corrupted rulers, whatever you want to call them. So let's do it. S is the best, F is the worst, and here we go for the tier list. All right. So first we have the Witch King. If Sauron and at least one Free People nation are at war, you may use a muster action die result to place the Witch King in any region with a shadow army that includes at least one Sauron unit. Activate all Free People nations. Sorcerer, if the Witch King is in a battle and you use a combat card during the first round of the battle, after doing so, you may immediately draw an event card from the deck matching the type of that card. Yeah, so good. You at the beginning of the game, the shadow player starts with 7 of their basic action dice. They can get up to 3 more. One of the ways to do that is to get the Witch King. He can move anywhere, has 2 leadership. And you get the die. So yeah, this is just not even a question. This is S tier. And then Saruman. If Isengard is at war and Orthanc is unconquered, you may use 1 muster action die to bring Saruman into play in Orthanc. He can't leave Orthanc. As long as Orthanc is under your control and not under siege, you may use a muster action die result to recruit 1 Isengard regular unit in every Isengard settlement, or to replace 2 Isengard units in Orthanc with 2 elite units. The Voice of Saruman is so good. And then Servant of the White Hand. Each Isengard elite unit is considered to be a leader as well as an army for all movement and combat purposes, which is just insane. So 0 movement, can't leave, gives you 1 leadership, which really doesn't matter, but you get 1 of the basic actions as well. This just, there's no way this couldn't be S tier. That's like S plus. All right. I think I'm gonna just organize real quick here. I want to make sure that I do these in the way that makes the most sense. So let's do the other version of the Witch King next. Okay, so the Chief of the Ringwraiths. This one is the Black Captain. If the Fellowship is not in an unconquered Free People stronghold, you may use a muster action die result to play the Chief of the Ringwraiths in the region containing the Fellowship, or to place, or to replace the Black Captain, theoretically, if it was already in play. All right, Spear of Terror. If the Chief of the Ringwraiths is in the region with the Fellowship, when you play an event card with a character deck, you may immediately draw another event card from the same deck, which is actually really, really good. Let me just do this just so we can see. Not super easy to do. You would have to move a lot, but being with the Fellowship is, number one, he can end up with the Fellowship just by placing him there. Or he has infinite movement, so he can get there in 1 move every single time. And you get rerolls when he is there for the hunt. And then getting to draw extra cards is just ridiculous. He knows if the Fellowship is declared in a region which is not an unconquered Free People stronghold, you may move the Chief of the Ringwraiths to the region containing the Ring Bearers. Wow, so that's actually ridiculous. And then the last thing is the Chief of the Ringwraiths is not a minion for the purposes of playing Gandalf the White, because Gandalf the White needs to come into play, or can only come into play when a minion is already in play. So if you didn't go with Saruman, then this one could stop Gandalf from being in play. So this one's actually really good. I almost never do this because yeah, I almost never do that just because you either have to reveal or they have to declare the Fellowship somewhere. But this is about how good it is. So And I think that the abilities of this are actually just ridiculous. So the Witch King is going to go in S tier, or the Chief of the Ring Race is going to be S tier. Cool. So now we have 2 Mouth of Saurons. So there's 2 versions of each of these characters, which I think is actually really cool. So this is the Lieutenant of Barad-dûr. If the Fellowship is on the Mordor track, or all Free People nations are at war, you may use a muster action die result to place the Mouth in any region with an unconquered Sauron stronghold. So can move 3, 2 leadership, 1 die. Messenger of the Dark Tower. Once per turn, you may use a muster action die result as an army turn or army action die result instead, which is really good. Yeah. The problem with this one is just that it takes a while to get into play. So because of that, I'm just gonna put it in B. Because really, like, isn't the game over once the Fellowship gets to the Mordor track? It's certainly, the extra die in the beginning of the game is huge. Extra die at the end of the game isn't nearly as helpful. And yeah, the ability could be nice. And his leadership is nice, but you gotta start him in a Sauron stronghold, which means you probably have to move him a lot as well. So I don't find this one to be nearly as good. Okay, so this one is the Black Númenórean. If the Fellowship is on the Mordor track, or if the Free People player has 1 or more victory points, which actually I feel like the 1 or more victory points is the really cool thing about this guy, because sometimes that will happen before they are on the Mordor track, which I think is really cool. Especially if the Fellowship player doesn't know what they're doing, they can accidentally take something small from you, which doesn't really help them that much, and then you get an extra die and this guy to come in. So, you may use a muster action die to place Black Númenórean in any unconquered Sauron stronghold. Cool. Evil Knowledge. If the Black Númenórean is with a besieging army, the Shadow player may extend the battle by 1 round once per action without reducing an elite unit, which is so good. So much better than this. And then Great Sorcery. If the Black Númenórean is with a Shadow army, once per turn, you may use a muster die result to use that army as if it were a character die result instead. So that ability is technically worse than this, but the top ability is so much better. I think we're going to put this in A. I don't think I can get it all the way to S, but that's what we got. Okay, so then, let's see, how good is my memory? I think these... Okay, so base game, base game, base game. These are from the Lords of Middle-earth, if I remember correctly. I think that these might be from the Lords of Middle-earth as well. Oh yeah, there's the letters at the bottom, so yeah. Both of these are as well. So let's do the Balrog, I guess, first. You may use a muster action die result to... place the Balrog in Moria. If Moria is unconquered and now under siege, recruit 1 Sauron unit there. Advance the Elven and Dwarven nations 1 step on the political track. Cool. So we can't move. You do get a die, but it's not as good of a die. And then 3 leadership, which is just ridiculous. Okay, so Fire and Shadow. Draw a hunt tile if the Fellowship was revealed or declared, or as a result... was revealed or declared, and as a result has moved through, is moving from, is moving into, or remains stationary in a region occupied by the Balrog. Ignore any reveal icons on it. If it's an eye, eliminate both the Balrog and the guide. Wow, okay, so holy smokes, the Balrog's actually really, really, really good. I knew that ability, but I thought you could declare going through it and not be in trouble. But that's not true. Wow, so that's just ridiculous. If the Balrog is in a battle, add 2 to the combat strength of the Shadow army. Still can have maximum 5. The Balrog is not a minion for the purposes of playing Gandalf the White. So I think the Balrog... Essentially, Moria is a little bit of a squishy place. I think you can get beat up at Moria. And if you put the Balrog into play, your opponent will just literally never go to Moria. And then you always have a spot where you could attack from, theoretically. You might expose yourself a little bit, but you could team up with some of the Dunlendings or some of the Isengard units and take something over, essentially. So it might sound crazy, but the Balrog's actually going to go in S tier, in my opinion, as well. Very, very good. Okay, Gothmog, Lieutenant of Morgul. Can move 3. You get that same one of these dice or whatever. These aren't as good. It is what it is. Okay. If Sauron is at war and Minas Morgul is unconquered, the Witch King and the Witch King, the Black Captain, is not in play. You may use a muster action die result to put Gothmog in Minas Morgul. And then if Gothmog is with a shadow army in a free region, you may use a muster action die result to recruit 1 Sauron regular unit in that region or replace 1 Sauron regular unit with an elite unit. Okay, so I hate that ability. Yeah. The unfortunate thing here is that Gothmog is going just straight to F. He's just horrible. His ability doesn't actually help you much. I can understand why it would be helpful if you weren't somewhere that you could recruit and you wanted more units, but it's so inefficient. So he just feels like a big distraction. So no credit to him. We're gonna skip this We Shall Get It card. It's good. And then we have these 3, which are the new ones from the Kings of Middle-earth. So I want to skim through these ones real quick, if that's possible. So you can see their movement, their leadership, and then they would get you a die. That die can be rolled with all your other dice, but then you have to remove one of your either standard dice or the ruler dice, is what it's called. So it can give you some more options, which is great. So each of these comes into play by having some group at war. So you can read the text if you're that interested. And then they each have a different effect. If Ugluk is in a battle, before revealing combat cards, you may forfeit the effects of your combat card to add 1 to all dice on your combat roll and leader reroll of both armies. If the combat card is Desperate Battle, add just 1 to your armies. And then if Ugluk is in the same region with or in a region adjacent to the Fellowship, add 1 to all dice on the hunt reroll. So he really wants to hunt for the Fellowship, which is pretty cool. I don't know that I think he's actually very good, though. I think I'm going to put him in B. Because he's just the easiest one to get early on, in my opinion. That's why I'm going to put him in B. All right, Shadow of Mirkwood. If the Shadow of Mirkwood... Okay, so essentially they all have one of these abilities, and none of the abilities are super good, in my opinion. Often you're better off just resolving the Desperate Battle card. You're not... these are like so slightly better than the thing that you would do anyways, so I don't think that they're very helpful, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Shadow of Mirkwood, I think I'm going to put at C. Honestly, it just does feel like a distraction as well. It doesn't seem to do enough for you. It's going to go in F. Okay, the Black Serpent. The only perk of this guy is that he has 2 leadership, which actually goes a pretty long way, especially when the Southlands and Easterlings don't have any natural leaders. So because of that, I think I'm going to put him in B as well, because I actually do see a spot where he could be helpful. So that is all of those ones. And then let's do the corrupted leaders. Yeah, I'm not exactly going to explain how that works. We'll do that in, yeah, no, I'm sure I will. So you can try to corrupt the leaders by removing dice from your dice from the hunt pool, and then rolling a certain number of dice based on how many of your dice are left. You could corrupt each of them in the same round, or attempt to corrupt them each in the same round. But you have to have at least one die left after you've removed one in order to draw a tile. And you can't corrupt a single one of them multiple times in rounds. So I couldn't try to corrupt Dane 3 times, but I could do Dane, Denethor, and Brand, for example. So if you corrupt these ones, they hurt your opponent, which is pretty sweet. So this one has... So they also have different levels of difficulty to be corrupted. These ones are at 4 to be corrupted. These are 3, and this is 2. So let's start with the 2. This one's easy to corrupt, goes to Dale. The Free People player cannot recruit leader or elite units in the North Nation except from event cards. Once per battle, if the North Nation is in that battle, after revealing combat cards, you may forfeit the effects of your combat card to cancel the effects of the card played by the Free People. Yeah. Honestly, it's hard to rate these guys. I feel like Brand, no one really does much with the North. So these really depend on what you're trying to do. Because this one is so niche, I think I'm just going to put it in C. It's easy to corrupt him, so it's not like you committed a ton. Okay, let's do Denethor next. Goes in Minas Tirith if he gets corrupted. And I think all of these have the same ability, essentially. So this is, you can't recruit in Minas Tirith except... or you can't recruit elites and leaders except from event cards. And then if Minas Tirith is under siege, you can extend the siege battle by removing a Shadow regular unit instead of reducing an elite unit once per siege battle. So, and Minas Tirith is a place you're normally going to want to take. So Denethor is going to be A. Let's do Theoden. He goes to Edoras. Same thing. They can't recruit leaders or elites in Rohan except from events. If you control Helm's Deep, it is considered an Isengard stronghold. It is still... You still get the points for it. But essentially, you can use your Voice of Saruman thing to recruit there as well, which is just ridiculous. So then his thing just becomes insane. Because of that, Theoden is S tier. I'm not going over the rules for how you remove them. It's not too difficult. Okay, Thranduil. Woodland Realm. The Free People cannot recruit elite units in the Woodland Realm. Okay. If the Woodland Realm is under siege, you can extend the siege battle there by removing a Shadow regular unit. Cool. I just feel like this doesn't matter. This is going to be F. This feels so unimportant. Then Dane Ironfoot. Erebor. Can't recruit elites or leaders in Erebor. Yeah, and it's literally the same thing. This one just feels so unimportant as well. So that is the tier list. So yeah, I feel like this is very accurate for how I try to play the game. Witch King is awesome. Saruman. So essentially, turn 1, I would try to get Saruman, Balrog. Try to corrupt one of these two if possible. And then just the rest of my... I mean, I guess I'd get Ugluk turn 1 if I could as well. That's probably just because he's the easiest. Actually, no, you can't really do that turn 1 unless they've split the Fellowship with the Council of Rivendell expansion or whatever, or version. But anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you liked it.